All right, what's up, guys? This is Carter from Coin Mastery, and this is
Chris Dunn. Hey, guys.
And I just want to introduce you guys because back when I got into crypto more seriously, right around 2016, Chris was one of the first people that really showed me the light, so to speak. I was kind of a full, just buy a little Bitcoin here, maybe a little bit of Ethereum, but I had no strategy. I had no system. I had no idea what I was doing. And Chris took a lot of time just to help me out. He didn't know who I was. And through the course of about 2 years now, he's helped me a lot in my progress. And this is coming from somebody who really had no experience, but I wanted to get more out of crypto. But I didn't want it to take over my life, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to become like 9 monitors doing it 100 hours a day. And so I thought it'd be cool to just introduce you guys to Chris and also just ask a few questions I know that I had when I got started. So one thing is your kind of motto or tagline is trade less, profit more.
Yeah.
And I think that nails it. It's like the dream.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that?
Well, so a lot of people kind of have different perspectives of what they think trading means. Like, you know, we're here in New York City. Some people think that means having a massive office with computers and high frequency systems, or day trading, or sitting in front of your computer all day. And I used to do that, actually. Like, for a long time, about a decade, I was that guy. I was a day trader. I was trading futures, options, stocks, whatever I could trade. And I watched the markets go from a place where like individual traders like you and me could actually make a living doing it to we got kind of pushed out by the high frequency algorithms and professional Wall Street firms. And so in 2011, when I heard of Bitcoin, I actually thought it was a scam. And so I didn't trade it at all until 2013, when I was like, I saw the light. And I realized this is actually a better market for smaller traders, meaning if you're trading less than 10 million bucks, which I assume most of us are, it's a market that you can do really well in. And so for me, trading means just waiting for the best opportunities to come along. And I kind of put trading and investing in the same category, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're somebody who's like, look, I just want to know kind of the right timing when to buy Bitcoin or when to buy Ethereum. Like if you're somebody who's like, I don't want to buy the high and then lose 80 or 90% of the value over the next few months, because this is extremely volatile right now. And volatility is actually a trader and an investor's best friend if you know how to do it the right way. Totally. So, you know, there's kind of a spectrum of what you can do. You can either be like just a buy and hold investor, or you're like, I just want to kind of time it right and get in low, and then, you know, when I make some money, maybe take some profit and diversify into other coins or other assets. Or if you're kind of like me and you're like, well, I want to take advantage of the volatility and swing trade. What that means is you get into a trade. So say you buy on Monday and you hold a trade for anywhere from a few days to a couple of months. And that's kind of my sweet spot. I notice that the biggest moves happen over that time frame. My average hold time on a trade is like 2 to 3 weeks. And then I have different what I call capital buckets, right? So we have like bucket A, which is the money I set aside for long-term investing. Bucket B, which is for kind of that shorter or middle-term trading, where you can exponentially grow your gains that you can maybe put back into your investment bucket or buy gold or real estate or whatever. And then the third capital bucket is like what I call angel investing. So that could be ICOs, initial coin offerings, which are extremely risky, and you really have to do your due diligence there. But, you know, really just like venture investments where you're investing in projects or tokens or stuff really early on. So yeah.
Yeah. I think what's great about that is that when I first looked at the market, one, it was very confusing. I had no idea like where to even start. I would look at a price and I had no idea if this was really high or if this was low.
Yeah.
Like, is this going to keep running, or is it going to come back ever? And just being able to answer those questions gave me the freedom of patience, right? Because when you can be patient in a market, it's like a relaxing feeling.
Yeah.
Because you're not beholden to you look at the volatility and it's almost like, okay, no big deal. I know exactly what this is and I can play accordingly. And that's a huge advantage over a vast majority of people. And then, like you said, you know, you can pick your trades, and so you can only pick the winners or the ones that you think that look like the biggest winners, and it can be one a month or one a week or something like that, and you spend the rest of your time like doing what you want to do, like having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I probably only spend actually managing trades and placing orders like a few hours a month. Now I spend, like you, like probably a couple hours a day or more researching and just keeping up with crypto, because this is such a fast moving space. I mean, we're here at Consensus, and it's crazy just to see there's thousands and thousands of people that are all in on the decentralized economy. And so like this is not going away. The pace of change is only going to speed up, I think, over the next few years. And so there's so much information to take in. And so I think like my day is probably 80 or 90% just researching and thinking and planning, and maybe less than 10% actually taking action on stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that I know for myself, one thing that I totally didn't understand is just what an average day would look like. And you wake up and I was like, do I run to my computer and just go in as fast as I can and 1 minute charts or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, I've learned that less is definitely more, or at least balance is more. What's your experience been like for you, and also for people that you've been working with?
So I guess like kind of like a typical day, what that looks like. So yeah, I mean, the first thing in the morning that I usually do when I get in front of my computer or pull up my phone is I kind of check prices like everybody does, get that little hit of dopamine or whatever. But no, just to kind of see what's happening. Check the headlines, check the price on like coinmarketcap.com, where you can kind of see, okay, is everything up today? Is everything down? Is it a mixed bag? Just kind of get a sense of what's happening that day. And then I review my open positions, any trades or investments that I have open, and then ask the question, is there any action required of me today on these? Like, did any of my profit targets hit? Did I get stopped out on any trades? Did any entries trigger that I need to check and just look at and make sure everything's okay? And then from there, it's kind of like checking my watch list. So I'll have a list of positions I'm in, and I'll have a list of coins that I'll be looking at to make a decision, like is there a trade or an investment, or a potential like angel investment or early venture investment I want to make. Once I do that, then every day at 12 p.m. Eastern time, we have a community of traders, and either myself or my partner Rocky will host a class where we'll go over all of our trades, our watch list, what we see that day. And we have thousands of people that come to those now, and it's kind of like everybody's home base. And we record those because we know, there's people all over the world. Not everybody can be there live. And that's pretty much it. And then for the rest of the day, I can work on other business ideas, other investments that I have going. And, it's really only a few hours a day to be a full-time crypto trader and investor.
Yeah, or, go fishing or do something fun.
Yeah, travel, whatever.
Yeah, I think there's a great book I read. I think a guy named Mark Douglas, called Trading the Zone.
Yeah, one of my favorite books.
And what that really opened my eyes to is, like you said, if you're not familiar with trading, like things called stop losses or entry points or exit points, I realized that a lot of trading is just planning. It's setting it all up so that you put in all these prices based on the research you've done and the community, the feedback, and you execute it. And then it just kind of does its thing. Like all the levels are already set and they'll all trigger accordingly. You're not really supposed to do anything. You're supposed to let the numbers do their thing. And it really is a hands-on approach, and then bouncing ideas off of other people. And I think that brings up the idea, like trading and technical analysis often get lumped together.
Yeah.
Right? And so I know for myself, when I thought about getting into trading, I had virtually no technical skills whatsoever.
Like with charting?
Yeah, looking at charts and seeing, you go on Twitter and you see people with 900 indicators. And
looks like somebody took spaghetti and threw it against a wall.
And I'm like, what? How could I possibly learn all this?
Yeah.
But I've also learned that simpler is actually the way to do it. So when you're working with people that are new, and people who come in, they have absolutely no technical experience at all. how can they get into that? Like, how can they get the ball rolling with that sort of thing?
That's a great question, and I'll just start by saying, like, yeah, technical analysis when it comes to charting, that is a never-ending pit of information that you can get sucked into. There are hundreds of indicators, many different types of charts, and a lot of it will give you like conflicting information, and a lot of people think more is more, but really less is more. The more simple you can keep it, the better. And trust me, I mean, I did this for a decade where I just built trading systems, everything from automated to discretionary and everything in between. And I actually think that people that are new to trading or in investing, and you've never looked at a chart or so much as traded a baseball card, I think there's actually an advantage there because that person doesn't have any bad habits to break yet.
Yeah.
You know, so I like to start by just teaching people kind of the, you know, like 80-20 principle. What's 20% of the information that's going to get you 80% there? And if you can start with that, a lot of times you really don't have to go further and read hundreds of books. You know, just understanding the most important thing when it comes to markets and price is human emotion, because that's what drives price. And a lot of people that look at a chart, they get mesmerized by these fancy lines and indicators and all this stuff that you can put on a chart that, you know, you can talk about, might make you seem pretty smart, but in reality it doesn't help you make more money.
Totally.
So I just want to get to the point, like, okay, what is something that somebody needs to learn, and how do you understand human emotion, which drives price?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing that we talk about, you know, at Coin Mastery on the channel all the time, the psychology and the dopamine and how it all feeds in together into a decision process.
Yeah.
And I think that with the technical stuff, you know, there are a million indicators, but you can start with the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are actually pretty straightforward. I mean, something like support and resistance, just learning how to identify that, and just learn that, you've got like 50% of the foundation of what you're going to learn in technical, and it's just step by step, learn the basics, and that can really take you a really long way, which is, it's the name of the game.
Yeah, and just learning how the herd thinks, right? Learning how the mass majority of people inherently know buy low, sell high, right? Like, everybody knows that. Everybody says, duh, that's the most simple thing. But over 90% of people actually do the opposite. And it's not because they don't know better, it's because of human emotion drives decisions. And, you know, for anybody that has invested or traded before, you know how emotions like fear and greed and overconfidence and hesitation, all these things play into your trading and investing. So a lot of the training and stuff that I do focuses on that first. Like, how do you understand the right way mentally to approach trading and investing? Because without that, you're dead in the water.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just, you can easily overthink it. I can't stress it enough how you can just get so lost in the minutia, and just being able to step back, get perspective on it all. I think the other thing that kept me away from, you know, trading, investing, or at least being more of an active participant, was the only traders I really saw or heard about were people that were moving huge amounts of money, right? Like investment bankers, you know, we're looking at, like, you know, Bank of America, you know, and what I also realized, I didn't realize, or cognitive bias or whatever it was, like, you got to start somewhere. And that you can actually start trading with a relatively low budget, and it's not necessarily about immediately making $1 million, but learning how to build winning systems that you can then slowly build upon, and you can add bigger and bigger amounts of money into. And so when you work with new people, what's your experience been with, like, do they need to be a millionaire already to trade, or, like, could anybody just, you know, do it? It's
a great question, and let me just say real quick, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't I can't look at your finances and be like, oh, based on this, you should invest this. But the beautiful thing about crypto is there's no minimum, there's no barrier to entry. Like, I've helped everybody from the multimillionaire on Wall Street to the village person that just got internet in Myanmar and in Africa and South America, like all over the world. So there's no minimum to get started. You can buy, like, for anybody that doesn't know this, you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You can buy $5 worth of Bitcoin if you want, or less in some cases. So what I think everybody should do is kind of look at your finances and say, how much of my capital am I willing to risk? What does this risk capital look like? Meaning, you don't want to trade or invest with money that you need to pay your mortgage or buy food. That if you do that, that's going to put undue pressure on yourself, and you're not going to make wise decisions. So that's step one. Set aside capital that you're like, if I lose this, it's not going to affect my quality of life. And when you do that, start there and then learn the basics, develop consistency, prove to yourself that you can develop a trading plan that fits your personality and your risk tolerance and your daily schedule, right? Because everybody's different. And then earn the right to trade bigger size. Meaning, like, you don't have to swing for the fences and try to make $1 million in the next 30 days. Like, in fact, slower is better, because you're going to ultimately, if you focus on the process of developing the skill set, you're actually more likely to achieve your goals than if you just obsess about, I got to make the money, because if you do that, you're going to really react emotionally to the markets, and fear and greed are going to drive your decisions instead of patience and discipline.
I think it's so true. My personal takeaway from trading, not from with Chris's stuff, but just from books and everything else, and my own experiences, there's really 3 pieces that I think anybody should be thinking about. The first is you need to know the underlying trend, or like what's really going on. Are we in a bull trend, or are we in a bear trend, or whether short term or long term? But you got to know at least what the environment looks like. The second is you really got to figure out how to get your win percentage as high as possible. Like Chris talks about, enter trades that have a high percentage of winning, and if it's not going to win, get out as fast as you can.
Yep.
So getting that piece set up. And then the third piece is working on your position size, and that comes down to individuals and where you're at. But often in crypto, it's the other way around. People go position size first because they want to capitalize on some opportunity that's never going to happen again, and it always comes back. There's always more opportunities, and being able to be systematic about it makes a huge difference. And you look back 6 months later and you realize how much more effective and how much more lucrative being systematic about it is.
Yeah, and the goal, I think, for any trader or investor, right? It doesn't matter if you're just a buy and hold or if you want to day trade all day. Like, the goal at the end of the day is to develop what's called a positive expectancy. And what that means is you want to expect to have positive results over time. And what that looks like is 2 things. Your win ratio. So first, you need to accept that you're not going to win every trade. It's just how the markets work, right? You can't predict the future 100% of the time. But if you can have a slight edge where you have a high probability of winning, and a high probability trade might be 51% over 49, right? My goal is to be in the 70s or the 80% win ratio, meaning if you take 10 trades, you're going to win 7 or 8 and have 2 or 3 losers, right? So you want to win more than you lose, but the other piece that's actually more important is what's called your reward to risk ratio. So meaning, like, if you win 9 out of 10 trades, but that 10th trade that's a loss eats up all those winners, that's no good. So the second thing is called your reward to risk ratio, which means on average you want your winning trades to be bigger than your losing trades. On average, right? You're gonna, over the course of a career or several years, you're going to have a lot of trades that are like small wins and small losers, and those usually kind of cancel each other out. And so you want to focus on, when you get into a good trade, letting those winners ride to profit targets and really planning that trade and letting that work so you end up with those big winners. And then the other goal is to eliminate the unnecessary big losses.
Yeah.
That's why you want to predefine your risk anytime you get in a trade. Meaning, anytime you buy something, you want to identify a price level where you say, if it breaks this, if it doesn't do what I'm expecting, I'm not going to let my ego get in the way and just bag hold that. I'm going to cut it and take a small loss and move on and look for the next play.
Totally. And I think it's stuff like this is so important as crypto develops. One thing we talk about a lot in Coin Mastery is how, yes, the market is getting bigger, but it's also more people are going to come in. There's going to be competition, and just having these edges, just learning these skills, it can keep you on top of that wave, right? You want to be on the front of the wave as it grows.
Yeah.
You just don't want to get behind it and let the whole thing move, as you're trying to paddle forward and get over it again. And just having these skills will just pay dividends over and over, no pun intended. But it's just such a crucial time to up your own game. And so Chris has got a great training. He's got a webinar you can go check out. It's coinmastery.com/system. There's a link right below. You can click on that. Go check it out. You'll learn a ton of this kind of information all for free. You can go and just watch and take notes. And you can learn more about what Chris and Rocky and his whole team is up to.
Yeah, awesome. Hope to see you there, guys. Yeah, I think, again, no matter what your goals are, if you're going to be in crypto, you should at least understand like the fundamentals behind human emotion and price action and market timing and stuff like that. It'll really help you out.
Very cool. Chris, thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot, man.